The fight to secure our border will become one of the most important political issues in California in the 2026 election. Coming up, I'll tell you why and what we're doing to advance it. Plus, California's liberal politicians want to slap warning labels on all of your social media accounts. Coming up, we'll tell you what they're trying to do and how we're fighting back. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California and a California state representative representing Assembly District 75. I want to give you an update on some of the issues that we're tracking today. A lot of it has to deal with border security, obviously a common topic I talk about on this show. Politico is out with this story today, the Politico California Playbook. And they're covering the issues that they see most likely to be on the ballot in the form of a ballot measure in the 2026 election. They are covering our efforts here at Reform California, my proposal, the California Secure Borders Initiative, to really change state policy in California to give support to President Trump as he tries to secure the border. I've said for a long time that border security is not just a federal issue. You can't have a secure border unless you change both federal policy and state policy. We see the wisdom of what Texas Governor Greg Abbott's doing by deploying the National Guard to the southern border and by not giving taxpayer-funded handouts to illegals. They have the right state policies. We have the wrong state policies. And so Politico is out with this story covering our efforts. Immigration. So we are number one at the top of the list. It says, here are 7 issues we expect to capture our attention on the way to the 2026 ballot. Immigration. Incoming Assembly member Carl DeMaio is aiming to reassemble Prop 36 Tough on Crime Coalition by floating an initiative that would repeal California's sanctuary law, deploy the state guard to the southern border, and revoke welfare programs for undocumented. Now, all that's true. We have additional reforms in that bill that they're not focusing on, like the cross-deputization of local law enforcement so they can work in tandem with federal ICE and Border Patrol agents. That's very important. It's been very successful in the past 40 years where we have cross-deputization so that law enforcement can maximize their resources, both at the state, local, and federal levels, to do the job. And remember, we're talking about border security, so it's not just about immigration. It is about the drug traffic into this country. It's about the issues of exploitation of vulnerable people, human trafficking. All these issues are key in this discussion. And we're going to talk about why it's necessary for Republicans to expand the conversation on border security, not just to be about immigration, but all these other issues, national security, stopping the flow of drugs, stopping the human trafficking, and talking about the folks that the cartels are convincing to come across. They are victims. Yes, they're breaking the rules, breaking the law, but they are victims themselves of a predatory, evil enterprise called human trafficking. So that's what we're going to be talking about. But I want to connect the dots to a couple other stories, and including this crazy proposal that California politicians have to slap a warning label on all of your social media accounts. Have you heard about it? Yeah, a big press conference was held with Attorney General Rob Bonta, who doesn't want to actually go after real criminals. But Rob Bonta is at this press conference with legislators yesterday saying California to consider requiring mental health warnings on social media sites. Oh, where do I begin? Where do I begin with this insanity? So let me first talk about what they're proposing. It says California, home to some of the largest technology companies in the world, would be the first state in the U.S. to require mental health warning labels on social media sites. And this is according to the bill that they've proposed. They say social media sites are damaging to children. Now, look, all sorts of things can be damaging to children. Violent movies pumped out of Hollywood could be damaging to children. Video games, damaging to children. A lot of the stuff Democrats want to put in the classroom, very damaging to children. You know what also is damaging to children? Human trafficking. What's going on at the southern border. And so when you see something like this, I think it's important that we turn the tables on Mr. Bonta and say, if you really cared about kids, you wouldn't be focusing on the, attention grabbing. Oh, we're going to regulate social media companies. Because look, warning labels on things, has that ever deterred bad behavior? We had warning labels on cigarettes, warning labels on your pillow. Again, I've never been able to understand why they put those stupid labels on there. Warning labels when you go anywhere in the state of California under Prop 65 saying something here could end up giving you cancer. Hello, if I step outside my door in the morning, bad things can happen to me. While they're virtue signaling with this bill, and that's what they are doing. They're absolutely virtue signaling with, oh, we're going to put warning labels on this. What they're not doing is going after the real risks to our children. As I mentioned, I think border issues have a much more profound impact on children than social media. Now, again, I'm not defending social media time. I believe that it's up to the parents to decide how much time they want their kids to spend on social media. It is a good platform, but it also can have ill effects. That's a very sober and realistic way to look at it. But I don't think government, the nanny state, should be able to be the one to regulate and have all these extra requirements that have no impact. That really has no impact. What is a kid going to say? Oh, well, I read this warning label, so I've decided that I'm not going to be on this social media app. If anyone thinks that that's going to happen, you obviously don't know kids, okay? Again, it's just, let's see if we can get some headlines and pretend like we give a crap about kids. That's what Bonta is doing with this proposal. There's no good that's going to come of it. If you wanted to help kids, stop the human trafficking. You want to help kids, keep the controversial curriculum out of the classroom. These are real things that would help kids from real harms. But no, these Democrats don't want to talk about that. And by the way, if we're having warning labels on social media sites, can we have warning labels on, I don't know, cable channels like CNN and MSNBC? Can we say, warning, this network has repeatedly been caught in disinformation and lies? I mean, seriously, if you're going to make a government case that you can require a warning label on a social media site because it may have some impacts on kids, I think we can also say that lying misinformation from liberal media outlets could have as much impact. By the way, these requirements clearly are questionable when it comes to First Amendment rights, because what they're doing is they're imposing what we call compelled speech on parties. Social media companies could say, well, I don't think my social media site is dangerous, but you're forcing me to say it is dangerous or could be dangerous with a warning label. Compelled speech is something that the Supreme Court, particularly a conservative Supreme Court, has been very leery of requiring. So this is one to watch. But I wanted to show that dichotomy, the hypocrisy of Democrats saying they're trying to protect kids when, in fact, let's just throw the border right in their face, or any host of other issues that they have failed our children on. Another example, they say, we want to deal with pollution. So this story is out of Cal Matters. It says, polluted communities hold their breath as companies struggle with California's diesel truck ban. Look, I'm for a clean environment, but the reality is we have so overregulated daily life such that we've imposed costs and destroyed jobs that hurt working families. I'm all for the environment being protected, but I think we need to do a both and, not an either or. You shouldn't have to choose between able to afford your rent or food, or protecting the environment, or having a job, or protecting the environment. You should be able to do both. But the liberal mindset is let's regulate something without even considering the ill effects or the cost of the regulation. So they go out here and they say, oh, diesel trucks are so bad. And one thing I wanted to share with you is they come up with these phony data sets. So you look at this, it says diesel exhaust raises cancer risk in LA Basin. And you're like, oh my God, look at all these cancer cases. None of these are real cancer cases, by the way. These are predictive. This is what they think will happen along these corridors. It's a prediction. And let me just tell you, all the folks that have predicted that, oh, we're going to die in 12 years because of, climate changes, or we're going to, what happened back in 2020, all those predictions that they gave us. No. So this is nothing but junk data. It's designed to alarm. It's designed to prop up someone's preconceived notion that we have to do something because, something clearly is bad here. One thing that we do know is that the asthma rates are skyrocketing in Central Valley amongst children because they've choked off the water supply. That's not predictive. That's actual. That's something we absolutely know. But Democrats don't want to provide water to Central Valley so that the farmers can actually manage their land and manage the particulate matter on the land with water. Nope. They don't care about it. So let's turn the tables, Republicans. When they say, oh, we're going to regulate the diesel trucks, we can say, we can talk about that. Cost benefit analysis. But one thing we know we can do right now is if we actually allow farmers in Central Valley to have water, the air quality will be much better and asthma rates will drop. So when you can fix that problem, then come talk to me about additional costs. Or how about this one? The toxic methane smell from sewage in South Bay, San Diego. Basically what's happening is the Mexican government, Baja, Tijuana, they're dumping their raw sewage into our beaches, our bays here in San Diego. And there's a smell that's absolutely impacting people's quality of life and, yes, their health. And so there's air quality that's being measured, and we can see that it's degraded. San Diego County Air Pollution Control District, they're now doing another alert system to monitor the situation. We have all sorts of residents complaining about the impacts. And, there's a debate down here of how big of an impact to the health it's going to be. Well, I think it's a pretty damn big impact. And I don't think it's right to have people have air quality problems in addition to the water quality problems. No one can argue with the water quality problems. When they release their sewage, it comes to our beaches and our bays. We've got to do something about this environmental issue. But again, what are we hearing? We're hearing diesel truck regulation, which is going to come at a cost to you and is going to impact jobs. It's going to impact our economy. And yet we're not hearing about the raw sewage and toxic smells and air quality impacts from the sewage. No Democrats are acting on this. And so anytime you see the media covering these stories, whether it's social media, protecting kids, or regulating diesel trucks, I want to see Republicans say, look, we're all for protecting kids, but why aren't Democrats dealing with human trafficking? We're all for the environment, protecting the environment. But instead of imposing new regulations on diesel trucks, which can be debatable, pro con, we're not saying no, we're not saying yes, we're just saying the data is not there. We haven't done cost benefit analysis. We need to do it rationally with, understanding the cost to the economy and the consumer and jobs. One thing we know we need to deal with are the water issues in the Central Valley with air quality impacts, as well as the Tijuana sewage contaminating beaches and bays and really having an awful impact on the air quality in San Diego. Turn the tables, Republicans. Look, I believe we can build a new majority in California. We can take back this state from the insanity of the far left. But that means Republicans, anyone in the middle, we've got to get better at responding to these stunts that the Democrats do and the false narratives or one-sided story that we see in the liberal media. Help us fight back in California. Help me get that ballot measure on the ballot on border security. Go to the website, reformcalifornia.org, sign up at the bottom of the site. We keep everyone informed as to our campaigns once a week with our newsletter in particular. First name, last name, email, phone, zip code, sign up so you stay engaged in the fight. Also, toss in a contribution. We do not get funding from big groups. We are exclusively supported by grassroots donors like yourself. So please chip in a contribution of any amount. $5 a month is all it takes to put gas in the tank to fuel this movement to take back our state from insanity. Until next time, I'm Carl DeMaio, State Representative and Chairman of Reform California. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. But before you click away, please subscribe to this channel and click that notification button so you get updated when we post new episodes. Plus, like this video and share it with your friends so that we can help spread our message across the state. Reform California with Carl DeMaio is paid for by Carl DeMaio for State Assembly.